and welcome back to my channel. In an attempt to read 300 books, I read a shit ton of graphic novels. Some on NetGalley, some on Scribd, some I bought IRL. I made my way through quite a few. It was really hard to narrow it down to 10. If you've seen my best books of 2021, you will know that I had to separate non-fiction and graphic novels as an excuse to give myself more flexibility with regards to my favourite books of the year, because having read over 200 books, trying to narrow that down to 10 that I liked was pretty much impossible. So we have graphic novels as a whole video for you. These are all books that I am happy to recommend as graphic novels. Many of them are series. I think there's only one or two that are standalones, but I will let you know in advance when that's the case, because graphic novels are quite expensive. So I do appreciate that if you want to start one, or one of these you want to take one of these recommendations away, some of these will be easier for you than others. So let's start for the ones that I read on NetGalley, because I don't actually have those as copies. I've just got like notes on my phone. The first one that I read on NetGalley was Championess. Now this is a graphic novel which is a historical fiction about a young woman of colour who wants to be a boxer, and it is in a time when female boxing was kind of relegated to pubs and things. It was never taken as seriously as male boxing, so it is just starting. There are just fringes of women who are kind of starting to box and become professional boxers. But it also looks at poverty, it looks at the emotional relationships between this girl and someone that she knew. It has LGBTQ characters as well as Bible characters. It's really interesting to me, especially as like a woman who was in a male dominated sport. That fascinated me. So there were all these different elements that were very relatable and felt very authentic, whilst also exploring a time when women, and certainly women of colour, were not treated with the respect they deserve. So it is a really interesting balance. It is an own voices author, and it was just a really well crafted graphic novel. But if you like historical fiction and you have interest in women in sport, that was a really great read. And the next one I actually read on NetGalley first and then ordered myself a copy. This is Punderworld. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's really beautiful. I know that Linda Sejic, who is the author and illustrator of this, did it on Webtoon first, so there are opportunities for you to see some of the artwork there as well. But what I really liked about this is, unlike Lore Olympus, which really modernises the myth, this one very much leans into the traditional nature of the style, like art style, but also whilst the characters are modern, the aesthetic is very like classical and stuff like that. The artwork is really fun. Hades is obviously a very dark character, but Persephone is not like a happy-go-lucky character either. The character of Demeter was really interesting because she's just such this vicious mother. Like, I just really liked all of it. So I'm really excited to kind of continue this. I do like a Hades and Persephone retelling, and this just felt like a really great one to start with. Like, it was just a really fun read. So if you're hungover from Lore Olympus, and don't get me wrong, if I could have got my hands on a copy of it before it sold out in my local Waterstones, absolutely would have ordered myself a copy of Lore Olympus. Couldn't get it in through my own distributor, would have done whatever I could to get it, couldn't get hold of it. So until I can do that, I'm not ordering through Amazon, until I can do that, it can't make it into my top 10 of the year because I don't have it here, and I didn't get a chance to read it past the Webtoons. I read the Webtoons season 1 a year ago, so I was waiting and it never arrived. So it didn't make it onto the list. But if you're hungover from that one anyway, and you need just a little sprinkling of Hades and Persephone in your life, I would absolutely recommend Punderworld. It was really good fun. And obviously I liked it enough because I read it on NetGalley and then ordered myself a copy. Why not? The next one was a one that I kind of bought on a whim, and I can't get any more, unfortunately, so the link for this one will not be down below. But the next one is Violent Love Volume 1. This is an enemies to lovers gangster graphic novel. It feels like, if you ever watched the TV series The Last Detective with Matthew McConaughey in it, nearly called him Matthew McConaughey then, and that would have been probably very disrespectful to a whole bunch of people, but anyway, Matthew McConaughey, where he is that traditional kind of detective. It's very gory, it's very visceral. This graphic novel is very similar to that. It has very dark themes. There's only black, white and red in the colour palette, so it's a case of it's very dark, very moody. The main character is a bitch and she's on like a murder rampage, and essentially the book starts when her father is killed by a gangster, and then the rest of the book is her getting revenge, and they do horrible things to her as well, but in the meantime there is this other man who is also involved in the gangster lifestyle, who's trying to protect her, but is very kind of rude to her and stuff like that, because we love that. But there is like this whole premise where this young girl is hearing about this story from a police detective who chases these two. Now, this is based on real events. Obviously, it's not true facts, but it is based on real events. So I kind of loved that as well. And it just had this really insidious theme throughout, where the young girl is trying to be reunited with her mother, but we're not sure what has happened, and we're kind of learning as we go. Loved that. I thought that was great. Complete other end of the spectrum next. This is Fence. This was gifted to me. Well, this is not this one. This is volume 4. The Fence volume 1 was gifted to me by Kerris over at Library of Kerris, and this is about young boys who attend a boarding school who are learning to fence and win different levels of prizes whilst fencing, and learning a bit about themselves. And it's so gay, and it's so cute, and it's so wholesome, and it's so wonderful. And I obviously read the first one when Kerris gifted it to me for my birthday, immediately ordered the next 3, and I'm obsessed. I need 8 more of these at least. It was so cute, the artwork is great, the banter is wonderful, and it's so joyful. And considering Ali from Chaotic Ali, or the Chaotic Reader, has told me on multiple occasions that I don't know how to experience joy, explain this. Explain this. Explain how this gave me so much joy. It made me so happy. They are all so cute. There is such a great diverse cast of characters, and I just, it's so cute. I'll probably reread these in the new year. You can almost guarantee it. A popular one on BookTube is the Tea Dragon Society, and I got gifted this. I probably wouldn't have picked this for myself, but it was a great disability read for Gothtober, because we do try and encourage you to read a BIPOC, LGBTQ and disability rep book during the month of Gothtober. And I picked it up because I knew it was going to be a short read, and I knew that I would probably like it, and it was just so much more wholesome than I could have even imagined. And sometimes, like, when BookTube really loves a thing, I raise my expectations too high and then it never meets them. But this was so sweet. The artwork was stunning. It had a really lovely moral value to it, and it was just, the whole thing was just lovely. It was just lovely, and it was lovely enough to make it into my top 10, because I did read some other books that tried to do the same sort of thing, where they explore a disability and they explore empathy, and they just didn't have the same thing. Like, it just didn't have the same warmth that this had. And I'm really excited to read the next 2 in Katie O'Neill's series, because I just think, even if it's just for the artwork, these are really magical books, and I was really pleased that I got a chance to read it this year, because yeah, like I said, wasn't sure I was going to like it, and it was just lovely. It was just really lovely. So yay for me. Another really lovely one, but we knew it would be, was Heartstopper Volume 4. Now, I had read Volume 1 at the beginning of the year. I think I read Volume 2 at the end of the last year, and wasn't too keen to read Volume 3 just yet. I liked 1, it was fine. Read 2, loved 2. Bought 3, thought 3 was sweet. This one was a lot more emotionally charged than the previous 2. And I kind of didn't mind it. I'm still annoyed that the brother didn't get a punch to the schnoz that he deserved, but I did enjoy it, and it, like I said, it made it up onto my top 10. The Heartstopper series is really interesting to me, because I tried reading Solitaire last year and I just didn't vibe with it in the same way that I vibe with these stories. So I don't know if it's something to do with the way that Alice Oseman draws her characters, and the little scenes where there is no dialogue. Things like that just really make this graphic novel what it is. And it's like when you watch a film and the director and editor have taken the time to include really poignant scenes with no dialogue whatsoever. Alice Oseman is very good at doing that, just having those little moments of silence, and understanding that silence is really important. So I loved this, and I love that each graphic novel has matured in a way that feels authentic to the characters. You know, it's moving with them, their relationship is growing, they're dealing with those hidden things, like those things that when you first start dating someone, everything's brand new and everything's really exciting and beautiful, but the more you date them, the more you start to see that they are carrying stuff with them, and that now that is not your responsibility but your privilege to help them deal with that, to become part of their coping mechanism that then helps them move forward, that helps you move forward, that it's a tangible thing that you can, I don't know, I've been single a really long time, but I think you get what I'm saying, like the idea that there's like this dynamic that builds them together. I really liked that, and again, really wholesome. It was just lovely. Opposite of lovely, Through the Woods. This was really creepy. This is a collection of 5 stories by Emily Carroll that are so twisted and so macabre, and like the artwork is straight up creepy. It's another one where the colour palette is just red, white and black, and it's so insidious, and like considering each story is no more than like 20 pages, it really like, there are things in there that will give me shivers. Like I'm literally, there's the one with the eyes, and if you've read it you will understand, like it's so gross, and I will be thinking about that book till the day I die. Unfortunately, I've already packed it, which was silly of me, but I've already packed it, so add that to the top 10 because it was so clever, it was so gothic. If you need like a short spooky read and you're not into middle grades, I would pick this up. It's gross and horror and just great. It's just great. Saga. I picked up Saga volume 1 2-3 years ago. I then lost my volume 1 and 2, bought myself volume 1 and 2 again, and I've now found volume 1 and 2, so I now have 2 copies of each. So I'm so tempted to make some like dramatic collage out of them, but I probably won't, but I might, but I probably won't, but I might. Anyway, volume 9 made me cry. I knew I would. Becca and the Books warned me, not necessarily specifically, but warned anyone picking up volume 9 that we were going to cry, and I did, and I cried. I wept. I'm still thinking about it. It still hurts. I am very excited for volume 10. I'm so excited for volume 10, but devastated. Absolutely devastated. So if you're not familiar with Saga, this is a... How do I explain what Saga is? Because it's so complicated. Every time, every new volume has more intricate plot lines interwoven, but essentially there are 2 planets that are fighting, but rather than fighting each other, they're fighting on different territories, and these 2 people from those 2 territories end up getting caught up in between and falling in love. And when you first meet them, they are just about to give birth to their baby, who is the first of her kind in that she is both species. And then they're just constantly on the run and things are happening and just, it's wild, but yeah. They make friends and enemies on the way, and it's beautiful and it's so cleverly crafted. And considering I'm not a massive sci-fi fan, this will always get 5 stars from me. Always. Hands down. I think every single volume has had 5 stars except maybe 1. And that's just because there wasn't enough of one particular character in it. So that's just how I roll sometimes. But this was magical. This was just absolutely spectacular. And actually it's kind of anticlimactic talking about the other 2 after this one, because I love these 2, but there was such an emotional attachment to these. Such an emotional attachment to these. So if you haven't picked up Saga yet, you need to. Next is SFX, or Safe Sex, which is a political drama all about LGBTQ sex life, BDSM sex life, etc. And basically in this world, anything that isn't plain vanilla sex is taboo, but it isn't just taboo, it's illegal. And you have to apply for a permit to have sex, and you have to document every time you have sex. But there is this underground movement of sex workers who are trying to break that down. And obviously it's looking at political messages of totalitarianism, authoritative, like controlling authorities, anti-government, etc. But it's so cleverly done and the artwork is so stunning that even though it's about sex is such a minor... It's just a metaphor for kind of the ultimate rebellion, basically, and it's just a really interesting read. It's really, really colourful, it's really, really fun. The characters are really sarcastic and sassy and bitchy, and I just love them. And it's just a great read all round. I just thought it was great, so that's why it made it top 10. And then finally, again, totally different from the others, another D&D rip-off. We have Rat Queens. This is volume 2. I can't find my volume 1 to show you, but essentially this is about, much like in my top 10 books of the year, Kings of the Wild, where it's like a band of people, mercenaries, going out killing monsters, etc. That's what you have with this, but in graphic novel form. So obviously if I liked that, I was probably going to love this anyway. This is another one that I kind of stole from Becca and the Books TBR once and just have never looked back. Love this. I think I'm on... Yeah, I've got volume 3 to read next, which I'm very excited about. So they've all got different powers, they've all got different abilities. Again, it has that D&D-ness of them all being individuals but making up a bigger band of mercenaries to kill monsters. But then again, you have political intrigue, you have their backstories woven in. There is really great world building, and just in general it's just a really fun read. Like, again, it's banter, 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 emotional scene. And again, if you've seen the last film that I've literally recorded like 10 minutes ago but probably uploaded like a week before, whatever it is, if you've seen my last video you'll understand why that's just I like that. I like it. I like when it's banter, 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 misery. That's... Anyway, so those are my favourite graphic novels from 2021. There will be links down below to some of these that I can get hold of for you if you want to give them a go. And other than that, click on the links down below to treat yourself. Let me know if you read any graphic novels last year, and if so, what was your favourite? And other than that, have a nice day.